Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of DCT Recruitment's Icing on the Career Cake. Today, it's going to be slightly different because normally we have like one guest in the studio and we get to know a little bit about them, their journey through their career and what it is that they do. But today we want to tell you a story, don't we, Diane?
We do, yeah.
Okay. Tell everybody why we've got these people in the room.
Okay, so Kate is from the Liverpool Women's Hospital, and Katie next to her is her new apprentice who's joined the Liverpool Women's Hospital, and both were previously on this year talking about the Liverpool Women's and how they do and what they do. And Katie was on work experience at that time. Katie then learned that she wanted to do an apprenticeship in fundraising and decided that that was her next career move. Unfortunately, at the time, the women's couldn't offer Katie that apprentice, so we reached out to Bobby, who also has a charity called Sunflowers that looks after cancer patients and things like that, and he was going to hire Katie. Now, what attracted Bobby to Katie was when she was on the podcast, she used a snippet from the podcast, and it showcased how cool, calm, collective our Katie is, how well she came across and how good she can communicate. So Bobby had an offer for her. Unfortunately for Bobby, the women's then were able to have a position due to staff members leaving and stuff. So Katie, having known that charity, and you were still doing volunteering, wasn't you, Katie, with the women's in between? So obviously she had a bit of a stronger connection there, chose to go with the women. So we're now on the hunt for a Katie too, to help Bobby and his organisation and just share with younger generation, that there is apprenticeships within the fundraising sector and what that entails and what it's all about.
It's an amazing story, and we will find you, Bobby. I promise you, we will find you a Katie too. I mean, it's not going to be as good as Katie. We know that, right? But we'll find you a Katie too. Unless Katie, do you know? Have you got a twin somewhere?
No, not that I know of.
Oh. Okay, so let's go back to the original podcast and let's start there. Bobby, what was it about what you saw on that podcast that made you think, oh, this is brilliant. This is the route I need to go?
Do you know what? I think it was a lot of the government funding and all that now is all about pushing people through the admin level 5s and all that kind of stuff. It's the path of least resistance, where they've got the package there ready that they'll pass to the young person learner to go, right, here we go, this is how you do it. But with fundraising, there's not many people who want to get to fundraising. They don't advertise it as much because the government levy probably isn't as beneficial to people. But the good thing with fundraising is it's all these skills that you don't really get doing the admin packages. It's it's different every day. You get the chance to learn how to sell. You get the chance to learn how to feel. Get the chance to learn how to communicate. To work on events. To get dropped into things. To take over social medias. It's a huge skill, especially going into any business. You'd rather have someone with the ability to get money off people than someone who can use an Excel spreadsheet, in my opinion. So look at that podcast. It was just great. I knew that Katie needed somewhere to go. Kate didn't have the ability to take on the staff, so we were like, well, we'll definitely have Katie, no problem. But then I was ecstatic as well that you did get the opportunity to get to stay at the women's, because that's your passion, that's what you love. So now I'm on the hunt, and I think the adult job's ready, and you've kind of cleared your desk to go, right, I can't wait to not do those jobs. Now it's now I've got to find someone else who could do it as well, I suppose. Yeah. So that was things. Watching the podcast, it did kind of open my eyes to looking for the fundraising apprenticeship packages and the type of person would be after.
When you described all of the things that someone doing fundraising needs to do, right? And having just organised an event in London myself yesterday, which was for an organisation that are effectively a charity, and it's real hard work, right? the social media, the getting people there, the events organization, the, you know, all of the different aspects of it. There's so much involved. Are there a lot of people out there that want to do that sort of work, do you think, Diane? Or do you actually think, are there a lot of people that actually aren't cut out for it, because it's a lot of hard work, you know?
I think where Katie stands out for the crowd from her generation is a lot of younger generation like to be behind a computer, you know, like to be behind a phone, as in not face to face like this. And I think, you know, where Katie's attributes stood out is she was very, you know, face front, you know, and I think that's what you need. You need great customer skills to, you know, to be able to do this job. You need to be able to like spin a few plates, so you want to be able to be quite busy. You want to have to, you know, have a couple of jobs at a time. So, you know, I think there is them people out there, yeah. I just think at this moment in time, a lot of people maybe want to be an influencer or on TikTok or whatever. But to be honest, them type of people who do want to do that, I think this type of apprenticeship would be perfect for them, because they like being in front of the camera visually. They like to be creative. They like to get involved. They like to speak to people, meet people. So I do think if people actually break down what the job is and what they're wanting to look at that generation, I think, yeah, they are definitely out there, and it will be perfect for, you know, somebody now who's, you know, like Bobby said, social media is a big part of it. You know, we can, you know, I have used mine, Graham, so I'm amazing at it, aren't I? But, you know, the newer generation aren't they? Just clicking and it's done. You know, we're not so great. Maybe not all of us, you know, I'm just putting myself into that category. So I think that side of things, you know, it's really attractive for the younger guys to get involved in, you know, and it's so rewarding as well, isn't it? You know, what it's all about.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of contradictions actually, or seeming contradictions in terms of skill set these days, especially around sort of young people getting into things that are forward facing, because actually a lot of young people, and I'd love to hear Katie's view on this, but a lot of young people actually, they do know how to communicate, but they don't necessarily know how to communicate in a cross-generational way that actually makes sense across generations. Because, and you'll hear it all of the time on social media, especially things like LinkedIn, which has probably got an older demographic, where people will complain about, oh, young people, yeah, they can text, but you put them on the telephone and ask them to have a telephone conversation with someone, they're useless because they're not using the telephone half the time. Yeah, you'll get young people that may be great in front of the camera, and they've got all of this kind of yeah skills and whatever, and their editing skills to make it all pop and whatever are fantastic, but they've actually got nothing to say. So it's really looking for those people that have, you know, want to, I'd say, really important thing here, are really keen to learn as well. Really keen to upskill and learn, not just like, well, yeah, but I'm great at it already. You know. And even on LinkedIn today, there was a really interesting post about, there's so many people that come out at sort of 21, 22 now and saying, yeah, I'm a coach in this and I'm a coach in that, but they've never done it. They've never done anything. They've got no lived experience of it. So where do you sit on that sort of, Katie? I mean, for you, where did you get your skills from? Because when you came on the podcast, you were very articulate. Notice that. So where did you think you developed that ability to be so articulate about what you're doing came from?
Yeah.
And where do you think that your generation kind of do lack skills?
I appreciate that. I've been working since I was 13. I would say that my experience in a workplace has made the world of a difference. I know a lot of my friends haven't had jobs yet, and you know, still now, which is, it's fair enough. Do you know what I mean? Like they're focusing on school and other things, but I think work has always been in my mind, and I do appreciate the fact that I have had work experience in different places, and I think it's given me real world experience, because I do think as a generation we experience the world not really. Do you know what I mean? Not we experience it through a phone screen majority of the time, and I think seeing the real world, it gives you like different views, which I know sounds obvious, but
It's true.
I think it gives you hindsight into situations.
It might sound obvious, but actually I don't think it necessarily is there for a lot of people. Let's do a little quiz round the room. All right, Katie, I'm going to leave you out of this for a minute so you can breathe. You can just take a moment, okay? But for the older ones in the room, and I'm probably the oldest, so you know that's fair. Right. When did you start work? When was your first job? And what was it?
I had a paper round at 12.
Paper round at 12. There you
Yeah.
go. That's Bobby. Yeah. Go on, Diane.
So mine was, I was 15 selling shirts and t-shirts out of a bag, round pubs and shops.
That's fantastic.
I was 18 and I started in a bar down in Hunts Cross called Reno's, and I absolutely loved it. And I think that's when I really developed a passion to like work with people. I wanted to engage, and I think, you know, working behind the bar, it gives you a lot of skills you need for fundraising as well.
Wow. There you go. Does anyone know? I've mentioned it before. Does anyone know when I started my first business?
In school, was it about 10 selling sweets?
No, it was 11. It wasn't sweets. It was much more complex than that, Diane. It was I sold pads which I made. Yeah, I made paper pads out of off-cuttings that came from a paper factory. There you are. Like it would be completely illegal these days because I had to use a proper guillotine which could cut off your fingers. And that, you know, with sustainability sort of laws and everything now in terms of waste, all of that waste would have to be processed properly. But back in the day, it just all went to landfill, and I thought that was a bit of a shame. So yeah, I said, oh, could I take that paper? It's where my dad worked. And I said, why is it all just being thrown away? But let's do something with it. But I think those early sort of throws into doing jobs, etc. And we also had things like, I don't know whether any of you remember this, but I was a boy cub stroke scout as well, and we did Bob a Job. Did anyone do something similar? Bob a Job, you know, where you had to go around and do people's gardens for £1. You'd be there all day and you get £1. I think some of that has kind of, because of legislation and stuff, has gone, but I do wonder whether it's a bit of a problem in some respects, because there's now not necessarily the opportunity for young people at a very young age to get experience in the workplace in the way that there was before.
I mean,
Like,
for us,
we didn't get our pocket money off my dad if we didn't help my mum clean the house. So, you know, every day one of us would have to set the table, unset it, do the dishes. Or weekends we'd have to hoover the whole house, polish the whole house, you know. And I think, like, I know for me personally, you know, being a single mum, bringing Thomas up, you'd have a bit of mum guilt. So when you're there, you're probably not as strict with them either to just even do the basic of chores around the house, you know, because you're going out to work and you feel like you want to do, you know. So I ended up having a cleaner to be able to make sure when I was off work with Thomas, I could spend time with them, wasn't cleaning the house. So everything has a bit of a knock-on effect, I think. It's not just legislation. You know, it's great. Go on, Kate.
Yeah, I think you're right. For us, volunteering opportunities are always difficult for younger people. And I think that comes down to legislation again, because there's a lot of young people who'd love to volunteer here, but we can't take anyone younger than 16. And there's various reasons for that. But I do think volunteering is a great way to start your, you know, your career, find out what you're interested in, and give a little bit back as well. But I think it's made difficult because of this age barrier of this 16, you know, this magic age. But we need to get people, you know, younger to come in and with support, you know, get involved. And I think that's a massive problem for us, especially in the fundraising sector as well.
Yeah. Do you see that as well, Bobby?
I mean, I'm all for child labour. I've often got 13-year-olds coming in and cleaning our rooms and stuff. We are quite different. So when I worked at Alder Hay in cancer research under the university, there was a lot of restrictions around the volunteering you could do. Whereas because we're quite we're a more open organisation, we make the rules, we've got the insurance, we make the policies. If we do have 13, 14-year-olds coming in want to volunteer, we can find something for them. You know, we'll get them to do some painting. I've got some terrible paint to show you, actually. But what we used to do with the NCS students, that some people are coming to the painting, then the week after, the other group will come and clean up the mess they made. So that was it. But it's, I think Kate's right. There's so many closed doors when younger people and learners go to volunteer and get told, oh, you're not old enough, or you need to be 16, or you've got to bring a parent with you, or it's quite damning. So yeah, but I say we're all for it.
And it's a bit daft because you've only got to go back a very short period of time in our history. And young people, very young people, did a lot of very important jobs. Right? Now, I'm not saying that was right, because some of those jobs were really awful. I mean, we don't want to go back to sending kids up chimneys or down coal mines. We don't. That's true. But we seem to have swung completely the other way. And actually, if you look at some cultures outside of sort of the Western world, still, you know, young people are given far more responsibility. I think it's almost like we think that we're giving young people a better childhood by not allowing them to get involved younger. But do you know what? I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. I actually think it was just as much fun as, you know, going and playing cricket all day or football down the rec or whatever, all of the other things that I used to love doing. I enjoyed doing work. I enjoyed learning business. I enjoyed phoning people up on the phone and, you know, selling £1 million worth of paper at sort of 13, 14. That was fun, you know, because it gave you a sense of responsibility really early on, and you did learn really important skills that will stay with you for the rest of your life. And part of it was just being, I think part of the fun part of it was just being in an environment where you were learning from your elders, from people that had that experience, and you just watching them, you know, being in that situation, just being able to watch people and go, oh, that's clever what they did on the telephone there. I see how.
You know what, as well, though, I think on the other side, it's something that adults can learn, the older generation. So the best Instagram we ever had was a 14-year-old who did it for a Duke of Edinburgh. And she took over for 3 months, and it was incredible. The videos are I just email things over, because I think my apathy towards social media now is just, here's an event, it looks good, one thumb. But it's the magic they can do with the creativity. So I'd send a few pictures over and some words, and she just turned it into this fantastic thing that people would follow and say, oh, your social media is really good. So when going back to why we wanted a young person to take on apprenticeship, it was because of that. It was the bits that we can't do and they can do so much better, and it's that skill sharing and learning from each other.
There was that great TV program not so long ago. I say not so long ago, it's probably a couple of years ago now, where they let a whole load of children into an old people's home. Did anybody see that?
Vaguely remember that.
Yeah, and the magic that it had for both parties, what the young kids got out of, I know it's slightly different, but what the kids got out of being in that environment and learning from all of the old the stories that the older people told them, and what they got out of being with those young people.
And to be honest, Graham, I think that's where I'm looking forward to this apprenticeship properly starting with Katie, because I've been fundraising for 25, 26 years, and the stuff that now I don't know. And Katie's going to have the opportunity to learn from like some really experienced fundraisers on the apprenticeship side. So I'm going to learn so much more. And I think you're never too old to learn. And I think having this opportunity of an apprenticeship with Katie will help everybody and the whole team. I think we'll just we'll learn new techniques. We won't be so set in our ways. And I think that for me is the golden sort of egg with this. It's gonna change the way we work as well.
Everybody wins.
Yeah.
It's like a youth program for a football team, isn't it? Do you remember years ago they never had youth programs for football? It was literally, you had your first team, and then they had to rely on buying in players in order to for the next skill set to come when players needed to retire. And then I think it was Alex Ferguson that really at Manchester United, not that they're doing so well now, sorry about that, but at the time that kind of really launched the youth football program, and played young players in amongst the first team to actually bring them up. It works, doesn't it? It just works to actually get that energy, that enthusiasm, the spark of creativity alongside experience, knowing when to attack, when to stay back. That happens in business as well. That's what are you learning that, Katie? Or do you feel like that's something that you're learning, is just when to do things, when to be a bit more patient with things and whatever?
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like it's confidence as well. Do you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of young people definitely lack confidence, and I think being around people who obviously know what they're doing gives you confidence in what you think and what you think is right. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're guided, I think that's what I like about the apprenticeship, is that I feel like I am guided by a lot of people who know what they're doing, and it just makes me feel like I'm going to be able to find my way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Diane, you're going to bring in McDonald's at some point, right? Because you always do. But I mean, you must have seen this when you've been working for such a big global organization. You must have seen the impact of training and sort of bringing people in at the right age and getting them alongside people that are more experienced.
Yeah, the beauty of McDonald's was completely that, is getting a young shy kid who was nervous handing out a bag on the drive-through to the customer to then like flourishing and being able to handle a complaint, being able to speak to the customer, and going back to what you talked about with the kids, I used to also to work with the local schools. So there were schools who were maybe known as being naughty schools, should we say, and so for the rewards, when the kids are being good and good, then they come into the McDonald's and we put the little hats and aprons on them and we'd take them round and they'd be like standing in the freezer and they'd be like, wow, we're in the freezer with this, and you'd let them make a burger, you'd let them make their ice cream, you'd let them make the whatever they were going to eat, and look after them, and that was just great, because then they see behind the scenes of McDonald's and then they'd ask you loads of questions and they do sorts of thing. And even now doing this, that's why I team up with Elevate and go into schools to speak to the younger generation of jobs now of today, because I think when you're young is when your imagination's sort at its best, isn't it? So if you can capture someone when they're young and get them to see the bigger picture of things and how exciting things can be, then I think that's the best time to do anything like that. It's great, Bobby, that you can actually bring younger people in and do things there. It's great that you're in that situation, do you know what I mean, to be able to do that.
Might be a really good opportunity at this point in the podcast to allow Bobby to talk a little bit more about exactly what your organisation does, so that we really sell it to some people out there. Yeah.
Okay, so Sunflower's been around since 1985. It used to be a centre for people who'd lost someone to cancer. And then fast forward, it's 40 next year. This is the kind of thing with fundraising where you go, we're 40 next year, we should really think about doing something. So yeah, we've been around 40 years. We've gone from a place that was just kind of like a place where people with cancer met up to a place where we're doing 1,200 appointments a month. We've got a 2-week waiting list from registration to being face-to-face with a counsellor. We have 40 volunteer counsellors, 17 exercise classes a week doing rehabilitation, prehabilitation, peer support and all that. We've got 6 different wellbeing groups, look at cancer support, head and neck cancers, ME, sickle cell. We're just quite responsive to the society around us as well for whatever the need is. We're able to pivot easily because we haven't got a big governing body and we don't have to I don't know. We make the decisions pretty much. So that's where we are at the moment. We're at the point now where if you go to occupational health in the Liverpool hospitals, you will get sent here for counselling. Don't give us any money, but it's still good. So it's a service that's just growing and growing and growing. But with that, we are a small team. We've relied on volunteers. How we do things here, we've got a bit of reciprocity where we let qualified counsellors use our rooms for free. So they can see 3 of their own private clients, and then they have to see 1 of ours. So everyone's kind of all in it together. I think when David Cameron first said that, he didn't realise that's what it was going to be, that you're all on your own and you're helping each other rather than others. But I digress. So that's where we are. So we are growing, and we're kind of creaking at the seams. We're using sellotape to patch up the cracks, and that's why we need a new young person to come in and just help us. There's loads of opportunities there. There's the shift to automation, which we need to start doing more, where at the moment when we've got our 1,200 appointments a month, we're texting people, we're phoning them,
But you're physically texting people?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we've got a database here, we've got someone else there, but we need them all to sing to each other. And this is it where, a young person will come in and go, why don't you just use Calendly or Buxley, or my hairdresser's got this? And you go, all right, okay. So that's where we are. Yeah, busy.
So you use like Buxley, the Buxley appointments. Is that where people can go on and book their own appointment?
They can, but we don't want to give people too much power. Because we do like massage and all things like that. So it's obviously really busy. So people would block book if we let them. But I'm speaking to someone. I've spoken to a few people about it, but it's that kind of area that we need the help in. But it's just getting out and about. It's the collection tins are very old fashioned. They're kind of, no one really uses them anymore. It's like the sandwich shops. However, they're a great touch point for customer support and customer interactions, because they'll go to the shop, they'll see a tin there, they'll see a certificate saying we've raised X amount for sunflowers, and all of a sudden they know about us and they know what we do. So it's those kind of projects where it's quite old fashioned, it doesn't bring much money in, but for organic presence, it's brilliant, and we need people managing that. Databases, the social media, I'd say it's when we've got a big thing on, it's all gung ho, and then when we haven't, it's just every man for themselves, just guess.
Okay, so if you're a young person and you're interested in this, and you like social media, but you also like things like SaaS-based systems, because that's really, by the sound of it, what you need in there, which is a service as a software as a service system that connects everything together. Connecting up things and automation of processes, that sort of thing as well. Then this could be absolutely for you. You've talked about sort of what it is that you do. Thank you. Just in terms of throwing this out from a geographical area, where exactly are you, so that people know where you are? And so is there kind of a sort of ideal geographic area, catchment area for the role?
There is. I mean, anywhere in the Liverpool City region. We are actually based at the bottom of Lark Lane on Egbert Road. Get ready for Diane's eyes to light up, near McDonald's, not too far away. So that's how we can best direct.
But please don't stop there for breakfast every morning.
That was my store. I was a store manager.
Oh yeah.
There you go. There you go. You knew it would come out, you see.
Yes, that's the area. But I mean, a lot of things with volunteers as well. There's a lot of online volunteering we can do for the apprentices. So it's not just a case of having to come in every day and physically be here. There's a lot of online work. So
you could be quite hybrid.
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
To use a modern word for a very old term. Really. It's one of those things. I was discussing it on another podcast the other day. Hybrid working's always been there. It's always been there. It's just only now we're just starting to use these terms and thinking that it's a new thing.
Yeah, I think lockdown brought it out with QR codes. Brought them back out of fashion.
So that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
If that appeals to you, how would you like people to get in touch with you as well?
They can drop me an email, Bobby@liverpoolsunflowers.com. They can find us on social media, send a message. We've got Live Sunflowers on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, kind of, but I'm too keen. Yeah, but we want to do more. We want to get TikTok and things like that. That's what old people say, isn't it? We want to get TikTok.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna have TikTok, if you're gonna have any of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
The most important thing that anybody needs is activity, right? Because it's activity that makes people interested in what's going on. And talking of activity, very recently, Diane was involved in some great activity. See how I segued that
Nice
in?
segue, that was a, yeah.
Thank you very much indeed. Because she was involved in the Strictly Dancing. That went very well, didn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. And thanks to Kate and all the girls that organised it. Was seamless. It was an amazing night, wasn't it, Kate? We had such a good ball. I would say out of anything I've done in my life, I was the most scared before I went out onto that dance floor, I'm not going to lie. I'd obviously done my ankle in a few weeks before on holiday, so that was playing on my mind. 500 people screaming. I was like number 7 out of 14, so they're probably a little bit merry by the time we were going out. But you know what? It's the best thing I've ever done. It was amazing. And thanks to the audience, I got to win the audience vote. She'll get me trophy.
For all of you who are just listening to this, Diane's gone to get her trophy, which she'll now show you. But you'll have to tune in and watch it on the visual version to get that. It's a disc on a mount with is that like a little crest in the middle? Is it?
Yeah.
No. Oh, a star. It's stars. There's stars all around and a big star.
And Casey's mum, shout out to Melissa at Let's Go Publishing. She did the brochures for the night as well. So we were like little stars for the day, and we had our write-ups in the brochure of everyone and what we did and why we did it. So we raised it's gone up to 75,000, Kate?
Yeah, more like 80,000 now. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. So Diane and all the contestants, thank you, because we could not have done it without you, and it is very difficult to do. It certainly takes you out of your comfort zone, and thank you, because yeah, we wouldn't have been able to do it without you all. So thank you for all that you did and the commitment.
And that's a lot more money than you raised last time, and that's in a point where actually, we are in the middle of a cost of living crisis. So actually, that's amazing actually that people
got behind them.
Donated so generously to that.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. So we've got to come back to Kate and Katie quickly here. What can we look forward to in 2025 from you? What great ideas? Just tease them a little bit. What great ideas are you coming up with for fundraising in 2025?
Well, now we have Katie Graham. We are going to be doing a lot more on social media because, like Bobby, we're not very good at that. We do it, but we do it not very well. So we're going to do a lot more creative things on social media and hopefully get TikTok. Absolutely. But we've also got some amazing events that Katie's going to help us put on. We're going to do a power pageant, which is a spin on a beauty pageant. So women, because we're the Women's Hospital, we want to empower women. So we want women to get involved in our pageant and really, celebrate all things female, which is going to be fantastic. And, we're going slightly back to the 1980s. We are doing a golf day, because it's something we haven't done before. And we think a lot of our corporate supporters would enjoy that as well. And, our pram push around Oxford Adventure, with Oxford Adventure, that'll happen. And Strictly 2025 is in the planning already.
And what you could get involved with, Graham, is you've got to make your office, what is it, the glow stick light, what is it?
Oh, yeah, so go neon for Neo. So go neon for Neo. So in November or June, it's either one, but whichever suits your company. We're asking everybody to dress up in neon or wear a neon accessory and pay £2 to raise some money for our neonatal unit.
I'll do that.
Thank you.
But also, you're very, very on time with that as well, because I bought this the other day. The board now has neon LEDs all over it, so I can light up. Yeah, I was already on that sort of tracks anyway, so I'm more than happy to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you should. I tell you who you should get involved in that as well.
Go on.
If you're going neon, right? I was in a band in the 1990s. We were called the Colourful People, and we were sponsored by a brand who are still going. It was sold at the time in C&A. Does anyone remember C&A?
Yes. Yes.
I love that. It was like, yes. See how excited they got about that, Katie.
Online,
Kate-
see it?
Is it?
It's still online, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Katie, you need to go and Google C&A. It was massive. It was a big thing. Right? It's where all the young people used to shop before Primark or Primani, as we like to call it. But yeah, and so we were sponsored by this brand called Global Hypercolor. Now this still exists now. Do you remember that? Yeah. So Global Hypercolor. This is like neon clothing, right? But it changes color when you sweat.
Oh yes, I do remember that.
Do you remember it?
Yes, I do. Horrible.
It was horrible. But get in touch. See whether they do some kind of sponsorship.
Don't shoot them
That would be
that
fantastic. The other thing is, and we must all remember this from school days. Do you remember, like at one time, everybody used to wear to school those fluffy white socks, right? The fluffy ones. But then it changed to neon ones. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do.
I've got a picture. Do you remember Camelot? We used to go to Camelot. So I've got a picture with a bright yellow and black striped little skirt with braces, a bright neon yellow polo neck jumper, and yellow tech like this, like a little short.
I'm gonna suggest this now as a kind of starting point to this whole campaign for you. If you're listening to this and you've got school pictures of yourself back in the day in the 80s, when it might have been at school disco or whatever, when you used to turn up in all of that luminous gear, right? Can you donate them? You can take a sort of digital copy of them. Can you send those in to Katie, right? So they can start to make a nice kind of collage up, right? And don't donate at the same time. That would be great. There you are. Let's kickstart that. What's that? Sorry.
What's Katie's email for people to send the pictures?
Yeah, absolutely. Katie, you've got an email now?
It'll be katie.bragg, BRAGG at lwh.nhs.uk.
Oh, as in Billy. Yeah. That's a name from the past, isn't it? Billy Bragg. There we go.
Yeah.
It's been great. It's been great catching up today. Let's just go round before we finish today. What are the kind of lessons that we've learned from this today, or what are the lessons that you think people need to learn about giving young people opportunities like this?
I think going back to the point of you saying that, I think it was you, Bobby, we learn from the younger generation as well, because sometimes we can have that as a barrier as a recruitment company, people want experience or they need that, but no one's going to gain experience until people give them a bit of an opportunity either. So it's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it? So, maybe just broaden your horizons and giving younger people, an opportunity, whether that be start a bit of work experience and then see how it goes. Or whatever, but yeah, just seeing that we can all learn from each other, no matter what age we are.
Bobby?
Cool. Do you know what? I suppose it's kind of thing about school leavers now, because a lot of them, especially around here, don't want to go to university, haven't got the money to go to university, but do want to work. And it's the allurance of the Tesco will give you 15 quid an hour and you can have all the hours you want and all that, but it's somehow tapping into that environment of people who want to come out and actually do something, learn these skills that will make a difference to people's lives, their own lives, but put them in a prime position where they can cherry pick the jobs they want from within a charity, what they want to do, what they're passionate about, and what they want to drive forward. So yeah,
I think that's a really important point, because I think all of us have probably worked in seemingly a dead-end job at some point in time. I'm not saying that if you go and work for a large supermarket or a large organization like that, etc., it's dead end. Yeah, but
I knew that was coming.
But no, there are people that go right to the top in all of those organisations. However, what I'd say is, having worked in organisations like that, there's so many people that get into a negative mindset that this is where their ceiling is in terms of where they can get to. They see themselves as, the most I will progress to is there, and that's it. And then I'm going to, and then actually they're working to live as opposed to really enjoying their work, and their work being a fundamental part of their life, and they're feeling really passionate about it. I'd say, if you can get into an organization, you might not be making a lot of money. You might be on an apprentice scheme. You might be volunteering or whatever. But if you can get those skills and you can get that passion for doing something that makes a change, that will make such a difference in terms of your overall career perspective and your mindset going forward. I think it completely changes your mindset that actually you can change something in the world. And that's where a lot of big entrepreneurial ideas come from, is from people learning that mindset of, I can actually make a change. Will you all agree with that?
Yeah.
Katie, any kind of final thoughts?
I think the apprenticeship has opened my eyes to embracing what is possible. Katie is mature, she's empathetic, and they're not things that you normally associate with a younger person generally. And I think it's just opening your eyes and looking at what's possible. And I think she's going to have a massive effect on our charity and our supporters as well. And it's embracing a young person and seeing what they can bring to the party as well.
Yeah. And I like that I've been given a chance by everyone, really, and I appreciate that so much.
I think for Katie, it's gonna broaden her horizons. A lot of people come, and when we're recruiting for fundraising jobs, they always say, I want to do something worthwhile. They've worked in, I don't know, the banking sector, wherever, and they felt they haven't had the opportunity to do something worthwhile, and fundraising and a fundraising apprenticeship gives you that. And I think for Katie, what a great start to your career.
Yeah, and going off that, even like when I spoke to Kate and I asked you how you got into fundraising, and you had a lot of other things that got you to this place, which I do feel like every older person I've spoken to has gone through so many different things before they found what they do have a passion for. Do you know what I mean? But I think the only way you get there is by trying different things. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm really inspired by everything that you guys do and everything that Bobby does, and I'm really excited to kind of just get my first foot on the ladder. Do you know what I mean?
You never stop learning, and you never stop finding something else in your life that fills you with passion, etc. It's just a bit that they never tell you in careers at school. And that's something to kind of just leave us all on today, which is if that's you, if you're getting confused actually at school with like careers advice and whatever, and you're thinking, oh God, it sounds like I'm being forced down the, to think about the rest of my life now. Don't worry about it. Just go out and do stuff, right? Because doing stuff is a really great way of finding out what you really like, what you're really passionate about, and what you don't like as well. So that's the best careers advice on the planet, full stop. But
just on the back of that, Graham, if anyone is listening and young people are a little bit confused and don't know what to do, then feel free to reach out to us. Don't mind having a little chat with you and talk about different jobs and where they can take it and where they can lead. If anybody would like a chat, I have helped some people and other younger people. We've helped another guy get into an apprenticeship as a project manager in the past and stuff. So the power of this does work at times. So I'm not saying I've got a magic wand for everything, but I can certainly try and help where I can.
But she has actually got a magic wand. There you go. It's one of those weird things, isn't it, folks? It's like when you look through like the careers book at school, it only looks like there are 20 jobs available. There's millions of jobs out there. Across the planet, you just don't really understand the extremity of what there is available out there. And I bet most people that have got jobs wouldn't have even known that job existed. at one point in time. So there you go. If you want some advice, go and speak to Diane. There's been a great conversation. Thank you, everybody. Bobby, we hope you get your person.
Super. Thank you very much.
Yes. And Kate and Katie, we hope someone gives you a hand with all those boxes to put away.
They're Christmas presents.
All right.
For staff.
Oh, cool. Someone's doing nicely. Right. Diane, thank you very much as well. We'll be back again soon with another one of these. But thank you so much for watching. And do have a Merry Christmas, everyone, because I'm conscious that this is probably going to go out just around Christmas time as well. Bye for now.